This is 250 feet of 5/16 solid braid polyester rope.
So this is my outdoor solar powered Meshtastic node, and it has pretty good coverage. It's about, I don't know, 8 feet up in the air. Using a bow and arrow, I shot this line over the tree, and the arrow is hanging in the air over there. So now I need to get it untangled from lots of little branches and hopefully over one big branch. So we're going to use some washers with some white tape for visibility to be a weight and replace the arrow. All right, so the goal is that the washers will go through tree branches without getting caught, and the white tape will give me some visibility, and the silver might reflect the sun a little, and I can drop this guy down once I get it over little branches when the line's just going over a big branch. And then I can pull another line up and drop the washer off the other side of the big branch and have a heavier duty fishing line going over only one big heavy branch. I pulled it up, got it unhooked from the edge of that oak tree, and it's coming straight down. Alright, so I have this guy hanging basically straight down about 10 feet away from the tree, and it's going near a couple of big branches. So now I'm going to tie a heavier duty line to it and get this over a branch and then drop it down the other side. Right, so this is neon 40-pound monofilament line. If that goes over a branch, I can use it to get a good sized rope over the branch. The weight on this guy, I'm hoping I'll get it over a branch and then I can just let it down. The weight will pull this guy and I can have it going over just one branch instead of being trapped in a whole bunch of branches up in the tree. Nice thing about the neon orange is you can almost see it against the sky. You can see here I have it like within a foot or two of that really big lower branch, and if I could get that washer to blow that way or to swing that way, I could drop it over the branch. So I'm going to try wiggling the washer using the orange line and see if I can get it over a branch. So by pulling on this line I can get that washer to swing, and then all I have to do is drop it at the right part of the swing. Well, I got it over a little sub branch there, but not quite over the big branch I was aiming for, so I'm going to pull it back up and swing some more and drop again. Alright, second try was the charm. Now I just have to hope the washers have enough weight to pull this line all the way up there so I can get the hold of the other end of it, and then I can pull a good sized rope up over that branch. Alright, we're going to hang this up in a tree just temporarily. If I was doing this for real, I'd have the other loop of the monofilament attached to this so that it could never swing over the top of the tree in heavy winds or anything. But I'm just pulling it up to see what's going to happen. I'm going to lower this back down, put a real rope up in the tree later. And so there's my pulley rig with attached recovery loop. So using a bow and arrow, I already got this 40-pound fishing line over the branch I want to put this pulley arrangement on. So I'm going to use that fishing line to pull up my rope over the branch. Right, if you set up the roll to roll the correct way and your bucket handle to be in the right spot, you can have an automatic rope dispenser like this. Alright, and up we go. Alright, if I was using a 100-pound test line, this may not be necessary, but I've found as I put pressure down here, once the rope gets over the top, it helps if you snake and whip the rope like that, so that you can pull it down while it's looping up over the top. Alright, so as you get more and more of the rope over the branch, the weight of the rope starts to help you pull down. And once you get to the actual rope, you can just pull it all you want. So this happens to be the exact length of rope I need to go up to a pulley and back down. Probably a little bit more since the pulley is going to be hanging under the branch. So I've marked it with some tape, and I'm going to keep pulling until I get that amount of rope through, because I don't want to cut my rope prematurely. This is where having that auto spooling rope dispenser is really nice, because it just goes. Alright, so I have pulled over the amount of rope I want, and I have a loop of rope tied to my roll here that goes over the tree still, so I can cut this rope right here and use it for my pull. My little torch out here, and so those two ends I've melted down so they won't be fraying. I took that big long length of rope that is doubled up long enough to get up to the pulley up there, and I put it through the pulley, and I tied the other ends so that I can tie it to this rope. And the only tricky thing here is I'm pushing that rope through the threading loop. And the idea here is it'll pull that rope through here and make a loop around the tree branch, and then pull that pulley through, and this guy will be locked up in the tree branch, at least until I fish a hook up with those pulley ropes and pull it back down again.
So the polyester rope is a little slippery. I've found myself putting like extra stop knots just to be sure, because it does slip a little bit here and there. So this bowline's holding pretty well. I'm going to take that tail and just tie an extra knot at the end just to be safe. The reason I've made my threading loop so big is I can thread it over this entire roll without having to cut that rope. And so now you can see how this thing's going to work. Basically, I'm going to tie this end to the pulley rope, and then that thing's going to go up there,
and it's going to thread it over the tree.
Right, so the pulley ropes, the two of them, are tied up to the other end of this rope going through the threading loop, and we're going to pull that pulley through this threading loop
up at the top of the tree. I just have to get all those ropes over it.
Now you can ignore, for the most part, this one little rope hanging down here. That's the retrieval loop, which is actually a lot longer than it needs to be, but I figured better safe than sorry.
Alright, now you can see it starting to get closer to the tree limb I'm going over. And at this point I'm down to the pulley ropes, the doubled over pulley ropes, so I can pull the pulley over that thing. And I've pulled the pulley and I've threaded it on. So now it's up there, and that pulley's going to just stay there.
And I have these ropes, like a flagpole, I can go back and forth with. And I haven't had to cut that end of the line off the spool because I made my threading loop large enough. Now you can see the retrieval loop up there. If I run a hook up this set of pulley flagpoles and hook it onto the retrieval loop, I can just pull the whole thing back down. Alright, so right now I'm just using this pulley rope arrangement to raise up my solar-powered Meshtastic node up pretty high in the tree, but later on I might use this to put up some Christmas decorations. Alright, I have my more permanent pulley arrangement up in the tree. That guy is just hooked to the rope, and up it goes. Realistically, that retrieval loop could be up almost 3/4 of the way up to the pulley. You need a little room under the pulley for a hook to come down and grab it, and that depends on how big around the branch is. Obviously, I made my thing significantly bigger than it needs to be. It could be a lot closer to the branch there, but I figure it's better to be long than short. So this is the first one of these I've made, and I put that recovery loop a little bit lower than I would have liked. I'm taking these two ropes and kind of tying them off to the side to make it less likely for the wind to flip that loop around and knot all the ropes together there. If I were to do this again, I'd move it up about halfway between where it is now and the pulley, because you need it below the pulley so a hook can get up and grab it, but the farther below the pulley it is, the more likely wind will wrap that rope around things. And if I ever have occasion to hook it down and pull it down, I'll do it in such a way with a rope attached to these lines that I can just pull it right back up. So I can pull it down, shorten it up, and pull it right back up. Alright, so during the day, that Meshtastic node is underneath a lot of these pine needles, and so it's mostly shady. In the morning, there's a decent amount of sun that'll just hit it from this side over here. And it's exposed to some sunlight, even if it's indirect.